MASL fans and lovers of indoor soccer, and welcome to a special off-season episode of MASL Insider with your friend Philly. That's me. We are still a few months away from the start of the indoor soccer season, and I'm itching for it, as I know many of you are as well. But the good news is we've got a little relief for that itch and a teaser for you. On September 29th at Toyota Arena in Ontario, California, we will be having our annual USA vs. Mexico indoor exhibition. Just like last year, this is a doubleheader featuring the men and the women. The women kick off at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, followed by the men at 4:30. The game will be streamed on Twitch and Rumble, so keep an eye out on that. We, and me, certainly hope to get to see you then. Now that we've plugged the match, let's get into why we are here, and let's intro who we're about to talk to. Now, between both the U.S. and the Mexico indoor teams that are going to be playing next week, we have so many talented indoor soccer players that we've known and grown to love throughout the years. But we've also seen some players looking to make a name for themselves. One player that was just added to the U.S. roster has a very unique and inspiring story. Our guest today is not someone who currently plays on an MASL team. In fact, our guest today hadn't even picked up the sport of soccer until recently. He is known to many from his social media account that went viral at World Cup Dad, a 36-year-old former Division I college football athlete who decided that in early 2023, and I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to steal from his thunder, decided to challenge himself not only to learn the beautiful game, but to try and play it at the highest level possible with the end goal of making the U.S. men's national team World Cup roster in 2026. As crazy as that sounds, he's gotten himself into some amazing shape, from going and playing on a co-ed team to being invited to play with Brazilian Club Nacional in South America to competing in the TST tournament with Hoosier Army, making it all the way to the semifinals. This all sets up the stage in a long-winded way, of course, for what's about to be happening. And that's he's going to wear the red, white, and blue of the U.S. in the indoor exhibition game and also participate in the MASL Combine in Oceanside next month, where he's going to attempt to make it possibly to an MASL roster. Folks, not only is this story wild, but it's truly inspiring, and if I could be so bold as to say, incredible to follow. Let me introduce to you the man that's credited with creating this incredible tale, Zach Duke. Zach, welcome to MASL Insider.
Hey, man, thank you so much. Just even hearing you say that back just reminds me how wild this journey really has been. It's crazy.
I mean, absolutely. Look, I'm so excited to talk to you today. The minute you and I chatted a few days ago, I knew right then we were meant to meet. From one crazy career changer to another, we're both birds of a feather who are clearly flocking together.
Yep. Absolutely, yeah. It's been an absolutely insane journey. And the fact that it is surreal to think I'm about to play for Team USA out in California. I can't even comprehend it. It's mind-blowing to me.
It's going to be so fun, and it's really not that far now away from now. I've said a lot of things during the intro, but before we get into the who's, the what's, the whens, the where's, the how's, and the whys, let's learn a little bit about you and how you came to the decision to take on this Herculean task of trying to crack this U.S. men's national World Cup roster in 2026. Like, tell us a bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm honestly just a regular farm boy from Indiana. Like, I'm an 8th generation farmer. My family moved to Indiana right after the Revolutionary War. So, I mean, we've been deeply rooted in this community for a long time. And as Indiana is, it's a huge basketball state. And so I grew up playing basketball, playing football, never played soccer. I think maybe when I was 4, I kicked the ball around a little bit. But my dad, we never played, and we were never encouraged to play. And it wasn't part of who we were. But always looking back, I just wished I would have played. And so the genesis of this story was at the very end of 2022, right after the World Cup. And I'm sitting in this coffee shop in Virginia. That's where my in-laws live. And honestly, I was not in a good place, not mentally, not physically. And when I looked in the mirror, I just did not like the man that I was becoming. I didn't like the husband I was becoming. I didn't like the father I was becoming. And as I projected my life out like 30, 40, 50 years, I honestly just could not stand what I saw from my habits, my character, my rhythms, my routines. And as I'm sitting there, I'm listening to a podcast, a guy named Kurt Storing, and he's sharing about, hey, why have we as dads accepted the status quo in our country of like the dad bod and just being average and mediocre? Where are the dads that want to actually push themselves to the limits, to even find out what their limits are? And emotionally, physically, spiritually, relationally, every area of your life, to push yourself to the edge. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I'm just being so freaking lame and lousy and the farthest thing from this. And so in that moment, I realized I wanted to be that man. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't have, a big plan in that moment. I just knew I could not get up from that chair without making radical change. I had to. And so that sparked the next thought, which was, okay, how can I get my fire back? How can I find what those limits are? And I thought back to my sports days, and when I was the most disciplined, had the best habits, was eating the best, had the most mental clarity. It's when I was playing sports at a high level, football, in college. And I thought, man, I don't have any desire to play football anymore. The passion's gone. Basketball, too short to play that sport. And then I thought, I have always longed to play soccer and I never got the chance. And I'm not someone that likes to live with regrets. I would rather do something and fail colossally, but at least know I tried, than to not try. And so that was the next step, was like, this is the global sport. There's relationships in every country in the world that can come from soccer. I feel like from a mind standpoint, a body standpoint, a physicality standpoint, I would have been good at this sport. Obviously had zero technical skills, but in that moment, in that coffee shop, as I'm sitting there, I'm just like, I'm absolutely going to go for this at the highest level possible in the next 4 years to see if I can make it to the World Cup. And if not, how far can I make it? That was the goal. Like, how possible would it be? There's so much misnomers out there that if you don't start at a young age, you can never play. And I hate when people put impossibilities out there. I hate when you say you never can, or it's always this. I'm like, well, who said so? Could one person break that barrier so that many could run behind them? And so that was the initial genesis of the story, was way more about being the man, father, husband that I could be, and using this as a tool to actually find my limits and find my edge. And it's proven to be exactly that for my family and for my life.
That's incredible. I mean, you said it, you played football, Indiana, the basketball place. I know something a little bit about it. I went to school at IU. Go Hoosiers. I love Indiana. Rocking my Hoosier Army
Go
t-shirt.
Big Red. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red. Absolutely. And we could obviously have another podcast about that, but all right, soccer. What did you know about the sport prior? I mean, did you pick a team or a player to follow? And have you actually come to develop a love for any particular players, teams, clubs, anything like that while beginning your journey?
So, yeah, this won't come as a surprise, but during I think it was the 2010 World Cup, I fell in love with a very unknown person named Ronaldinho. and his flair, his magic. I'm just like, it made me fall in love with the sport. And so I didn't know anything about it. I never really, I didn't play it, but that's when I begin to follow it and to watch it. I couldn't even tell you what the EPL or MLS or anything was at that time. I had no idea. And then, of course, as silly as it sounds, FIFA really helped, to actually find out who the teams are, what the different divisions and leagues are. And so that was the simple way to begin learning it. But honestly, it wasn't until the last few years, maybe 2021 and that range, when I've really started being interested in following different teams and different leagues. And I have to say, Messi's my favorite player, so for which everyone can understand. I know there's the Ronaldo Messi, but Messi, when I watch him, it's just magical. And so he's the player that I follow the most now. And I try to watch every game that he's playing. And so he's mesmerizing to me. But Ronaldo, on the other hand, I've really taken a lot of inspiration from how he treats his body at his age, and how he, even at his age, with all he's accomplished, is pushing himself to the edge still. It's just inspiring to me. So yeah, that I still haven't figured out what EPL team I follow. I've put some feelers out there to see to my following, hey, who should I follow? And as you can imagine, I got an impassioned response from everybody on who I should follow. Still unsure. So I would love to know who you follow in the EPL as well. But yeah, that's kind of how the love and started. As far as knowledge, absolutely zero.
Incredible. So you played football, obviously. So that required a different kind of conditioning than the condition. And soccer requires also a different kind of conditioning. Knowing what you knew, and you obviously got disciplined to play at a very high level, a different sport. Like, how did you go about starting your training, getting yourself into shape, more particular soccer specific shape?
Yeah, one thing I am thankful of is for my whole life, I busted my butt when it came to training, whether it was basketball or football. And I had legendary coaches when it came to fitness and training. Like my high school fitness, my weightlifting coach, he was in the Olympics. My college fitness strength and conditioning coach, he was in the Olympics. And so just top quality training, how to treat your body, how to eat. And so I carried a lot of that knowledge into it. And when it came to the training, I always, in basketball and football, I was a meticulous, detailed type of a person. So I cared deeply about the fundamentals. I never tried to do anything crazy or fancy. I just tried to do the little things really, really well and to become consistent. For example, in basketball, I wouldn't just run around and try to shoot threes all the time. I would always like lay on my back, shooting the ball, working on the perfect form, working 5 feet around the rim until I'm automatic and I can't miss, and then slowly moving back once I am not missing in any of those zones. And so just always working on the basic things. So when I started soccer, I didn't think, okay, I just need to go play. I knew for the first 3 months, I told myself I'm going to play absolutely no pickup soccer, no co-ed, no anything, because I would probably get hurt. I was wildly out of shape. I was very inflamed, and I would have just tossed the whole idea immediately. So I began working on all the absolute, I couldn't even do toe taps. I'm not joking. I could not do the most basic things. And so I started working on rebuilding my strength, rebuilding my mobility, rebuilding my habits and nutrition, and working on the most basic elements of soccer, which really in the beginning was working on wall passes, working on juggling, and working on just very basic dribbling moves. That's how I started in the beginning.
Unbelievable. Now, most people again would think this is just a crazy, lofty goal. And personally, I like that, because rarely do people who don't think outside of the box get to these kind of heights. Yeah. And you've already attracted attention, their eyes on you, and that required a leap of faith.
Yes,
but you have a very strong belief in faith, and not just in yourself. Talk to us about that side of you.
Yeah, absolutely. That honestly, when you get down to the root and purpose of everything, drives me more than anything. Like I'm a follower of Jesus and a Christian, and have been since I was little. And the way I would say it too, like I'm not someone who's like happy and clappy and just goes to church. Like I'm someone where I genuinely want to hear and obey what I see in the Word of God, and I want to love people like Jesus. I want to be like Jesus. And one thing that has always challenged me about faith is he always called people and challenged them to step out farther than they ever thought they could, to have like strategies that don't make sense to men is beyond the wisdom of men, where you have to trust in the supernatural power of God. And so I love to take those risks in those places where if God doesn't show up, I will fail. And no time in this journey did I feel that the Lord said to me, hey, you're going to make the World Cup. No, never said that. However, I was definitely very compelled by the Spirit to like do this journey. There's been maybe 3 or 4 times in my life where I felt that compulsion that strong. And so much so that I'm like, I feel like I have to do this. I feel like there's power behind me doing this. And so on this journey too, every relationship I have, every conversation I have, I want to be a blessing. I don't want to make this about me. I have zero desire for fame. Like, in fact, I love being a private person. I'm more of an introvert than anything. I'm just trying to obey. I'm trying to love my family. And if I can shine light and be a blessing and spread love in that process, I would love to do it. And I will say, I have been absolutely astonished by the incredible relationships I've made on this journey. I was reflecting yesterday with one of those guys saying, man, if I didn't take this crazy and what many would say delusional step, I would have missed out on some of the greatest friendships in my life. And so sometimes when you think that you need to go from A to B, you really have to get to B so you can see C, D, and E. And if you never take that initial jump, you'll never get to those other elements as well. And so that's where I think faith in many regards is huge, is, fortune favors the bold in one way to say it, right? Like you have to take risks. And if you don't take risks, you won't see any type of reward.
Absolutely. And some of those risks that you have taken have led you even further along in your journey than most people probably would have given you credit for initially. I mean, you attracted the attention of Brazilian club Nacional. Like, talk to us about how not only did you attract the attention, by the way, you were invited to train and part of league play as well. Like, talk to us about how that came about, what the experience was, and what did you take out of it?
Yeah, the wildest thing to me is on this whole year and a half, I've not reached out to anybody. I've not reached out to play with any team. I've not reached out to anybody for favors. I've done none of that. So every door that's been open to me, like I've even have people saying, well, you're just paying to do all these things. I didn't pay to go to Brazil. They literally paid for me to come. Like they brought me there, trained with them, like traveled with them during all the games. Like I was with them for all of it. And honestly, I was pretty scared. I'm like, man, I'm going to be playing with pros in the homeland of football. And on top of that, the field that we played on, this is crazy, is the very first official game in all of Brazil history was on Nacional's field. So literally playing history of football on this field. Like we had coaches there that were former Real Madrid coaches. One guy was the guy that trained and raised up Carlos Tevez. I mean, just legends here on this team of coaches and trainers. And so to be with them was really surreal. And they were very talented, played with that Brazilian flair. And I really got a lot of my confidence there. I wouldn't say that, I crushed it or I did great by any means, but I got a lot of my confidence because everyone there plays with that level of fearlessness. And so just being in that environment to play with that fearlessness, to take the risk, to make the pass, to do the skill, that is 100%, that culture there.
Now, the journey kept going for you. You go to the TST tournament. Now, many of us that follow MASL tuned into the TST tournament because there were a lot of players from our league competing in it. But you're going from learning 11v11 now to 7v7, different variations of the sport. Like, how did you adjust to that level of play? And talk to us about your TST experience and how it helped develop your game further.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an incredible honor to be included on the Hoosier Army team. I'm a Hoosier fan for life. Like my childhood basement is just full of IU everything. So if you go look at my very first reel I even made, you can see the IU flag in the background. Like it's like that real. And to be included on that team of national champions and pros, once again, I'm just like, I'm constantly over my head. I'm constantly out of my league. I never feel like I deserve this. I've never felt that. I've always felt extremely grateful and extremely honored. And I got welcomed into a culture of a brotherhood that has been forged here, at IU. And they welcomed me. They immediately made me their own. They made me feel welcome. They encouraged me, saying like they honestly cannot believe that I'm holding my own against, former national champions and pros. And once again, I was nervous and scared to do it. And courage just goes anyway in the middle of fear. Now, the difference between Brazil and here is, one, the conditioning was very different. I would imagine it's a lot more like MASL, where it's like quick subbing and it's those big bursts. And so you just get winded so quick. It's 1 to 2 minute stints and then you're out. And so the decision making is much quicker. The movement is much quicker. And the space is a lot tighter. And so you just have to be a lot quicker. And on decision making was the top thing that I really noticed.
And Hoosier Army did really well. I'm rocking the t-shirt here. For those of you that are getting to watch this, made it all the way to the semifinals and going up against the team that would eventually win, La Bombonera, a team made up of a lot of very talented players. So Hoosier Army took care of business. You got to the highest stage. Incredible stuff. Now, you have a very unique opportunity ahead of you. One can say that getting to wear a Team USA jersey in any form of competition is without a doubt the highest honor. You're going to get to do it with some of the best that play indoor soccer on September 29th. How are you feeling going into this game?
You know, the same thing I felt in Brazil, the same thing I felt, with TST of just like, how did I get here? This makes no sense. And so I try to always go in relationally first. I want to get to know the guys. I want to let them know. I want to honor them, be the best teammate I can be. I never come in with like this arrogant, pompous, like, I'm going to show everybody. That's not my mindset. Like, I'm going to absolutely give my best. I'm going to lay down everything that I can with any minutes I get on the field. And I'm actually way more confident in my game and my touch and my feel and my everything, every part of the technical than I was at any previous stage. But if I can add value in any way, whether it's on the pitch, on the sidelines, as a teammate, I want to make it the best culture I possibly can on the team. And to wear that USA jersey, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. I'm going to wear it with a tremendous amount of pride, a tremendous amount of gratitude, and give it everything I got. And Lord willing, if I can get a goal, I'm just going to go nuts. Like, that's just going to be freaking epic if that happens. And I'm going to go for it.
Well, now I'm going to have to come up with the best possible goal chant I could give to you, because I'm the one calling the game along with my buddy Jonathan Reimer. So, I'll have something fun for you in the pipeline. But your indoor journey doesn't just end with the USA game. You've also been invited to participate in the MASL Combine in October at Oceanside at San Diego Soccer's new arena, Front Wave. That'll obviously enable you to show off your skills to all the teams in this league. Now, let's just say you have a successful showing there. Like, how's that going to impact your current journey?
I mean, this is the moment when I could go from a zero to a pro, because there's a draft at the end of it. So if I have a good showing here, there's a real chance for, a draft and making a team, which I looked up the odds using good old Chat GPT, typed in all the variables of if you start at 34, never playing before, and if you're 36 and you get selected to be a pro soccer player, what's the odds of that? It's 1 in 20 million. Like, that's crazy. And so I think with the USA game and then the Combine within a month of each other, one, it's for myself alone, it's very validating of the journey. If I don't accomplish anything else in the realm of soccer, this to me is like, how in the world did this happen? Now, I truly believe I'm still just getting started, and I mean that so sincerely, but I have to pause and be like, this is crazy what has happened. So at the Combine, some things that I actually had a phone call with Ian Bennett this week, two-time MVP. And I'm like, hey, how can I best prepare for the Combine? He's like, bro, no one usually listens to me in this because they think they know better, but I'm telling you, be the most fit person there. Be so fit, because people are going to, even if they have great touch and they're great skill, by the final day, they're going to be so doggone tired that it's not going to matter. So if you show up and you are just insanely fit and you're not getting tired, it's going to show by the end of the Combine that you put in the work and the time and you care about the fitness. And that's when you'll really begin to shine, is just by how you're treating your body. And so it was encouraging, just because like Ian just really believes in me, and he thinks I'm really going to excel in this. And so hearing that from someone of his stature, it meant a lot to me.
It's crazy that people would disregard what IB26 would have to say. The guy's a living legend. He's a hero.
Legend.
I got his Florida Tropics jersey autographed and personalized, that I still need to put a frame on, by the way. So IB, if you're hearing this, I'm not forgetting. I just haven't gotten around to it, but an absolute legend. Now, okay, the ultimate goal, which we talked about earlier on, was to try to crack that 2026 United States men's national team roster for the World Cup. Now let's hop into our DeLorean and head to the future. That's a Back to the Future reference for those of you listening who might not be aware of what I'm saying. We fast forward again, 2026 World Cup is here. You have the U.S. track kit, outfit on. Talk to us about the vision. Talk to us about that. Just imagine you're actually there. Tell us how you'd be feeling in that moment. Talk to us about all of that.
There's few times in my life when something you're just so in the moment, and there's so much to process that it's sometimes hard to put cognitive thoughts together. I imagine that's what it would be like, to just living fully in that moment, soaking it up and reminiscing on what it would take to get to that point. And And I mean, it's going to take ridiculous mountains being moved, and it's going to take miracle after miracle. But so far, my journey literally has been miracle after miracle, and so it can continue to be that. But yeah, to be on that team in 2026, I don't even know if I would have words for that other than every single minute waking up at 4 a.m. for 4 years straight, going, eating like an absolute F1 car, making sure I'm putting the best fuel in my body, having ridiculous disciplines and habits that are better shaping my family and my life and for my grandkids to come, to get to this moment wearing that uniform. It would mean so much more to me than what would meet the eye. It would represent my family, my community, my legacy behind me, and my legacy before me. And I would hope that I would do it in such a way that would unify and bring together not only the soccer fan base, but bring in, football and basketball fan bases to say, hey, this is America's sport now. This is what we're about. And these are the stories that inspire the next generation to say, I want to grow up and give it my all too. Whether I make it or not, I want to give everything I have. And so if I were to do that, I would want to do it in such a way that I would truly be inspiring those that would come after me to be better than me.
Zach, I'm in awe of you, my friend, and getting to know you. I'm all in on this story. I'm rooting for you. As wild as it, of course, as wild as it may be, and you said it, fortune favors the bold, and dreamers rarely accomplish what the doers do. You've already done incredible work here. I can't wait to see where the story goes. And for those that want to follow along, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, the best place where I'm sharing the most is by far Instagram. I mean, I have YouTube and TikTok, but I spend most of my story catering it to Instagram. So if you go there, just at World Cup Dad. And I named it that for a reason. I wanted the dad part to be in the vision because that was important to me. But follow me on Instagram, follow the story. I've got a lot more things coming out as well. Lots of resources, even like if you want to absolutely change your diet, I have the Ultimate Soccer Nutrition Guide, which is more than just like, hey, print out, here's what you can eat. I really went after how do you have mindset and perspective shifts that I made? How do you build disciplines and habits around it? And then the most important piece is how do you execute it with accountability? And so I wanted to do something that added tremendous and real value and not just fluff that you could print off the internet in 100 different ways. So it's been very impactful for me to just give value to others in a meaningful way. Yeah, so follow me on Instagram, and I'm going to, as faithfully as I can, continue to document my journey.
How do we get our hands on the book?
It's on Amazon. Also if you just go to my link on my bio in Instagram, there's the PDF version. You can just download right there. If you want the hardback, you can also go on Amazon. Just type in the Ultimate Soccer Nutrition Guide, and it should pull up. And if you get it, 5-star reviews, please. You guys know how that goes. That just helps the algorithm push it more. So shameless plug for that too.
I love it. You got to do it.
You got to. That's part of it.
Look, I've always and often dared to dream and have dreamt big. I've done that my entire life. What you've taught me in just a short period of time that I've known you is to dare to dream bigger. If your goal is to inspire others, I can tell you honestly from the bottom of my heart that it's working. You've already changed my perspective in 29 minutes on life and the things I'm already dreaming. I think I need to dream bigger, and thank you for that, Zach.
Yeah, hey, you are welcome. A quote from a mentor of mine that he shared with me has always stuck with me. He said, the difference between a dreamer and a visionary is a visionary gets to work. And so to all the dreamers out there, make the shift and let the dreams have legs and get to work.
And that's just a beautiful way to put the exclamation point on it. Folks, make sure to catch Zach Duke, not only on his social media at World Cup Soccer Dad, but during the USA versus Mexico game, September 29th at Toyota Arena. If you're local, tickets are still available on Ticketmaster. If you can't make it to the game, it will be aired on Twitch and Rumble, and I believe it's going to be on the MASL channel. Yours truly will be on the call, along with the Dr. Jonathan Reimer, and of course, Amanda the Panda Filament roaming the sidelines. Thank you for joining us, and hope to see you again on the next episode of MASL Insider. And again, big shout out to Zach Duke. Thank you for your time, my friend.
Hey, absolutely. Always an honor.
Good luck.